Computer works now?
Well, I'm hoping.
7 o'clock.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the May 23rd, 2023 Tenino City Council work session. We have a fairly robust agenda tonight. These are all things to sign. On the work session tonight, we have RV ordinance and we have public safety sales tax discussion. The RV ordinance has been the topic of discussion on many work sessions. We are still, we have not taken any action. No actions have been recommended. This came to us after deliberation from the Planning Commission, and it came without recommendations from the Planning Commission for council to discuss. As we have stated, or as I have stated in previous meetings, your options are do nothing, you can make changes, you can send it back to the Planning Commission with questions, you can table it, you can leave it on the agenda for another work session. So at this point during the work session, we just discuss items. So if there's any discussion on the RV ordinance proposal, now is your time.
I like the way Rick has written up the different changes and things that need to be made in it. But I think there needs to be some kind of cost. There needs to be some kind of compensation for the because this is going to take a bit of administration in order to, it's going to take some staff time in order to implement it. But
Isn't it just a permit?
Well, but just a permit, and then did you read where they have to make sure that the utility bill, they've got to add it to the utility bill of the people who are the people that have the water account.
Yeah.
And that has to be done. It's staff time.
So the administration of anything has costs.
Yes.
So if we have any type of program, and if there's any type of staff time involved, there are costs to the city, is what I'm hearing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are there any other comments?
Dave.
I know it's not a public thing, but I can answer some questions if you have any, because that was discussed too.
Okay.
I mean, it's just, the fee was left open for the council to determine what the correct, we knew there would have to be a fee.
Okay.
But we didn't have any way to assess kind of really what that would be.
Okay.
So that would be something that have to be added to the fee schedule.
Okay.
There was a fee for the sewer hookup for $25 a month.
Yeah, I saw that, and the property owner will be charged the $25 on their bill, which there you go, there's cost there too, the staff to do all that work, so yeah, okay.
Okay, are there any other comments?
Well, I've said it all before. I'll say it again. This country is based on small government. We have gone from national all the way down to local to getting bigger and more intrusive upon the public every year. We have people that are trying to figure out what affordable housing is. We have other jurisdictions, for example, Lacey, that's put in for mother-in-law houses on people's individual property.
Which we allow here.
Okay.
We adopted that.
At a hefty cost. Lacey's now, last I heard, to put a mother-in-law house is almost $200,000.
It's not like that here. There's building costs, of
Again.
course. We don't pay for them.
Again, what this is doing, if you can't afford to have a mother-in-law house and it's your property, why are we saying to somebody that they can't have that RV on their property that they worked a good portion of their life to be able to come up with either the down payment or buy the house outright, that we as a government now need to intrude even further. There are all kinds of laws throughout the county and the state governing what can be done and what cannot be done with mobile homes, motor homes. If it's an environmental hazard, then we've got a problem, and that's covered by law already. If we've got somebody that's doing illegal drugs and all that kind of stuff, then we've already got laws to have that taken care of already. This, to me, is just a further intrusion upon somebody's property. Everything that's been brought up can also be said of other things. For example, well, if it's parked too close to the house, it may cause a fire. Well, you know, people park their cars inside their garage, which is attached to the house most of the time. That can cause a fire. You know, we do this all the time. We do not need to tell somebody that they can't have somebody staying on their property in an RV as long as it's not an environmental hazard and they're not doing anything illegal. There's all kinds of laws that already cover that. We don't need to do anything like that here. And this doesn't even touch on the illegality of things that could happen. It's just saying there are some people don't like it, so nobody can do it unless you come to us first and pay us for this and that, so on and so forth.
We currently have, and we have had law. I don't want to cut you off, but we have had rules on the books for quite some time that restrict the amount of time. And what this is proposing is to expand the amount of time.
Right.
So this is not rules saying you shall not do something.
See, and
This is rules to actually like lessen up the restrictions.
I don't believe we should have restrictions on them at all.
So
It's their property.
You know, I think that if a person has,
Rainey, you're fired. There's code enforcement. Code enforcement is out the door. As a community, there has to be a set of standards. There has to be a set of rules, health codes, like norms, building standards. We all, I would think that we all have accepted that we set those standards, and it is not a free for all, in the community. John is advocating for total anarchy, and I'm not joking. That is what you are. But that's not what's proposed here. So if your proposal is not to modify, move on, table, adjust, ignore, those are the options for this thing, and you want another option, which would be abolish all ordinances dealing with code enforcement and.
See, now you're reading way too much into it.
Or
I'm not saying code enforcement.
with
We're
RVs.
not even talking code enforcement. We're talking RVs. So stop trying to expand on the issue.
Are you proposing that we abolish all rules pertaining to RVs and the enforcement of how they are parked, used, placed, and lived in within the city? I just want to get to a point so we can move on to discussion.
And one of the things that you said in your opening, that there wasn't a suggestion. I was asked that the last time we talked about this, and I politely say thank you to the planning. Take that piece of paper, wad it up, throw it in the garbage.
And then leave it as it has
as it
been.
is now, what is it now?
How is it a hazard?
No. I said not hazard. I said leave it as it has been. Not has been. Like
I don't even like it as it has been.
Okay.
Okay. If they're parking on the street, then that's a different issue. They're not parking it on their property, in their yard, or anything like that. They're parking it on city property. They're parking it on state property. There are issues that deal with that. If they have it on their private property and they're doing illegal things in that RV, there are laws that cover that. If they have it on their property and something bad happens, it catches fire, they have insurance. The people that own that property should have insurance to take care of whatever damage there is. If your car blows up, on your property and it burns down your property and damages your neighbors, your insurance takes care of that. We don't need to go any further.
Is there a limit to how many RVs people can live in on their
It's
property?
their property if it's big enough.
So
Now-
15, you can park
and-
15 and live on it indefinitely.
And where in the city can something like that even come close to happening?
Okay, 3.
Where in the city can something like that come close to happening? There aren't too many that I know of where you can put 3, 4, or 5 RVs on their property. And again, it is
4
their
at my house,
property
probably.
as long as it's not a public health risk. And they're paying the freight for everything that happens there.
Okay.
Okay, that's what's happening now. If somebody's got a RV on their property that somebody's living in, the homeowner is paying for everything that RV does. Everything. Any power because it's hooked up to the house, the sewer system because it's hooked up to the sewer. That property owner
And that could be argued.
is the one that has to pay for it. This is not something that we should be doing as a city or as a government to tell people how many of what they can have on their property. Your example of like 15 RVs on a property, 3 RVs on a property. Who in the city is going to do that? You're making that law for a what if.
No,
We're
no,
not
no.
supposed-
I deal with people that do. I've had I have had multiple. I've had proposals where people come in and they say, "Hey, we'd like to move some RVs on this property," and we do have to tell them the rules don't allow it. And I mean, Rainey he deals with residents all the time who do have they do expect to be able to do things like that. And I mean, these are the rules that you guys have set out where we don't allow that. But
No,
if you did, yes, I'll bet you there would be several people that all of a sudden their neighbors would have 3 or 4 RVs in their house. And right now that is not allowed. That is not, and the expectation is that's not going to happen because, you buy a house in Tenino, you know what the rules are, and, you have a reasonable expectation that a mobile home park or an RV park is not going to pop up next to you in your neighborhood. That is a set amount. Those are set boundaries that exist.
So see, now what I think you're looking at is a piece of bare property like across the street from the grocery store. You can fit a bunch of RVs there. That could become an RV park. That does not fall within this premise.
No, my
This
house right over
premise-
here that I had, I could have fit 3 RVs on it. My
Really?
house where I'm at
How
right
are you-
now,
How are you going to get them in?
you back them in with a truck. They're on wheels, not mobile homes.
Yeah,
RVs. We're talking.
RVs.
No, we're talking recreation trailers, travel trailers, not mobile homes.
Yeah, the kind that you pull behind you.
Yeah.
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 Well, where were you going to put them? Where would
God,
you put them?
this is going too
And-
far,
Put them
you
in your
guys.
front yard.
And it's still. I think we're stepping on people's private property that they bought. There are some things that we can do and should do, and there are some things that we should not.
And it's
If
up to
they're
this
not
council
breaking
to
any
well, but
law.
it is
And
this council's purview to deliberate what those things
And
are.
that's what we're doing
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
May I say something, please?
Sure, please.
We already have an existing code, right? And this is expanding on that code? This is allowing more time?
They want to expand the time limit.
Okay, so I don't see the problem, John. If we
I do,
already
because
have a code and this is expanding and working with what already exists,
Okay.
I don't see the problem.
So, do you have any further comment?
No.
Do you have any further comment? Jason, do you have any comment?
I just want to know. Well, first, I appreciate Dave showing up to the last meeting and giving his side of it. After the days, however many days we set, after it's all up, I know they get an infraction for the first time. What if they ignore it? Do we have legal rights to go? We don't. Do we have legal to tow it?
We do have.
We do.
Okay.
Can I have you guys talk at the lecture?
Yeah, Dave.
Just because it's on YouTube. Sorry.
I'll just clarify that a little bit too. There's kind of 2 situations. Somebody could bring their RV in that they own and park there, like if a family member comes and stays. There's also the ability of the homeowner that has an RV to allow somebody to stay in it for a period of time. So there's two situations. If somebody just brings in their RV, your family member, and they've been there, they have to move that off the property at the end of this time period. Or there's an infraction, and it would take a process, just like every infraction does in the city. In the case that it's the homeowner's RV that is sitting there and somebody just comes and stays in it for a period of time, the person has to move out, but it's still okay just to keep, they can keep their RV there like they would, you know, just like you have your RV parked at your house. So there's two kind of things. One, it has to be moved off the property if it's not the property owner's RV.
So are we gonna have to get two separate permits then? Because would that be confusing for you, Rainey, when you do code enforcement?
Well, yeah, I think they would have to show
There's,
some kind of.
hold on, there was a question for Rainey. So, sorry to cut you off, Dave, but
The difficulty would be, how do you know when and who has them there? It's hard to tell.
well, that's why you would have
That's
to
why
have
the
some type of
permit
permit
process would definitely need to
so
be
you like
for that.
you would know where they're at, you know where to go look, you know how to verify.
Correct.
And
And
then
if
there's a
they-
cost to that.
Right.
You know, think about unintended consequences. There, you know, like just off the top of my head, there's how many permits would be issued? 10 a year, right?
I believe
So
that's
they say-
what the
So there's 10 a
proposal
year.
was, to start with 10 as a pilot
Yeah,
program.
10 a year.
see
And
it
how long
goes.
could somebody stay, or how long could you have them where there are people staying?
As of now, it's 15 days consecutive in a 30-day
But this would be
period.
up to 120 potentially.
Well, if it's just a visiting thing, it's just,
So what I'm thinking, and maybe this is a good thing, maybe this is a bad thing, maybe this was an intended consequence, but I could see this scenario arising because it's happened all over the country, is the VRBO situation. So we all know that our Chamber of Commerce has said there is nowhere for anyone to do overnight stays. If you are selling permits for people to have people stay in RVs on private property for up to 120 days, you almost create a brand new market for VRBOing throughout the city in RVs throughout the summer. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know. But I could see, you know, an astute, you know, industrious person or 10 coming and buying the first permits and then using them to rent out their RVs throughout the summer. I don't know if that's good. I don't know if that's bad, but I mean, I could see people doing that. And then you have a situation where we do make rules where, you know, there are probably people within the city that don't want mini hotels popping up all over next to them. I don't know. So like, I hadn't even thought about that until now, but I kind of want to go buy an RV if we're going to do this. And
Treat it as an ADU and start renting it out.
Yeah, or a
right?
VRBO
Which,
or-
if you
yeah.
do that, now you turn it into an ADU, which now you have to follow the standards,
Yeah.
the zoning standards for an ADU. Which then puts you off property lines, like I was suggested at the beginning, keep that fire separation between dwelling units.
Yeah.
You add another dwelling unit, or an ADU or a camper right where they're on the fire line or in that setback area. Now you're just erasing the risk if a fire does start. Okay, you have the primary structure that's sitting right next to it on the lot, and then you have the one now right next door where that fire separation distance has now decreased, which now enhances the probability of that unit catching fire from one unit. Now you have two dwelling units on fire.
But they should have that professionally installed though for their plug-in for their RV though.
For the proper amperage, I would agree with that, yes,
Yeah.
because I've seen it, and we just had another one in Rainier where somebody had a 30 amp service hooked into a 20 amp service on a 100-foot cord on a 16 gauge cord, and
Yeah.
up it goes. It just doesn't take much. So it's just ensuring if the ordinance does pass, it's just ensuring these proper safety steps are put in place to help prevent or reduce the risk of these fires happening. You know, we talk 15 days here in Tenino in a 30-day period, where you go to Rainier, it's 15 days in a 2-month period. And they require that if you are from out of town, you have to get permission from City Hall or the property owner, a written letter from the property owner stating that you can park it on their property and camp out on their property. So there are different ordinances, different locations have different ordinances to it. But a lot of these other jurisdictions also maintain those zoning requirements for the habitation of the camper if it's going to be for a longer period of time.
Recreational vehicles are not intended or legally allowed to be used for permanent residence.
No, not in Oregon or Washington State. It's
Okay.
actually illegal
What-
to have it as a permanent residence.
Okay. So, and that's beyond, so I mean,
Again.
the anything goes thing, like that,
I'm not saying anything goes. I'm saying that a lot of the stuff that you guys are talking about are already covered. We don't have to do it just to say that Tenino's doing it too.
But it's already a code already. It's already a law here.
I've already said, I think it's a bad law.
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to bring up too, excuse me, in the paragraph that says allow 10 permits in the city, Rick, our attorney, said just to leave the number up to discretion of the city, not necessarily 10, but
Okay.
whatever we decide.
So only 10 citizens throughout the city can
Well,
apply?
that's up to, on the last.
Right,
page,
right. No, that's
yeah.
what I'm
Yes,
asking.
yes,
Okay.
10 permits.
Can I speak that too quickly? And that was the whole idea, and I think I mentioned it last time. My original intent was just to be a short-term process where we can do this and try it. If there seems to be a lot of problems, we can either say we can fix them, or we can say this just is not working out. And again, that was going to be up to the council, how many permits they
So, and
wanted to
is that
issue.
why you said 10 per, why?
That's just what I came up with, kind of just a starting point. It could be 5 if we wanted to, but, or it could be as many as we could get.
Okay.
So
That-
it wasn't overwhelming at first.
Yes.
Kind of
So
easy.
anyway,
Right.
that was my intent, and he kind of loosened all that up. I kind of had that spelled out originally, that say in 6 months we'll review it. If there's issues, we can make changes to the ordinance to try to fix them. So that, really, this is supposed to be a trial. Does it work or it doesn't work? Or is there, can we do it, but we need to make changes?
Okay.
So for me, it was, you had the authority at any time to say, we're gonna get rid of this. If we implement it, you could say the next week, if something happened, we're not gonna do it anymore.
I mean, ordinances, once an ordinance is created, you can't,
Well, it's not gonna happen instantly,
Yeah.
but I mean, you could come and say, this is, go
Yeah.
through the process.
okay. Chief Rainey, do you have any thoughts or questions or comments? If anything, is
everything I've already mentioned.
if it's onerous, if it's unwieldy, if it can't be done, if it can be done, what advice do you have for the council as the person that oversees a lot of these things?
The safety. That would be my main concern of it all. That we have the proper distance for these things, proper electrical, proper power, sewer hookups, year, what year is this RV gonna be? The older the RVs, the higher chances on some of these older ones going up in flames. Here's just some statistics that I learned, that I researched. Here's the national response time for firefighters on RV fires is 8 minutes. The percentage of those fires that are able to be determined as to what the cause of those fires were is, believe it or not, 33.7% undeterminable. They can't determine RV fires. The second most would be improper maintenance, which is just lint that is left behind the refrigerator that never gets picked up, or a nest that builds behind on the outside where your hot water tank is. And the hot water tank goes on, boom, sets the nest on fire. So statistically, how we here in Tenino, response time for fires, I have no idea what the average response time for a fire in the city of Tenino is. That would be something I would want to suggest. Maybe we research that, since the national average is 8 minutes.
Okay. Thank you. Chief, do you have any comments on any of this?
A couple brief
Yes, sir.
comments. I think that we all see what a community without regulation over RVs, what that can turn into. So I think it's safe to say that a community void of regulating how RVs can be used on private and public property from a public safety standpoint, is a recipe for disaster. My concerns would be that if somebody does stay longer than a 120-day period, ordinance in place or not, it gets into some constitutional issues. And like Mr. O'Callaghan said, I struggle between, further intruding on people's property and private affairs and weighing that with public safety. But it raises some other concerns of they can be in violation of an ordinance, establish residency there, and then it's a long and very difficult process. And my concern would be people abusing the privilege and essentially setting up an RV park at a lower scale. And unfortunately with that, we've seen in neighboring communities what that can bring. And then, as Rainey brought up, are people going to be taking, unusable RVs that aren't licensed and registered, and it's just going to be a wreck that is sitting on property? Those would be my concerns from a public safety standpoint.
Noted. Thank you.
We can set that ordinance. If we do something like this, we can say, hey, you can't have anything older than like a 2015, right?
You can, but there's also there becomes like the policies you set, and then the actual the act of enforcing it. You've got to create rules that are enforceable, and I'm hearing what you're saying, and yeah, there would. I think those are valid concerns. Is once you get something in somewhere, how do you
Get them out.
Yeah, how do you actually regulate it? Because we do have, it is difficult as is for, say, Rainey to provide, code enforcement. There's, property rights are very, they're fundamental in the United States, and, it could be a tough situation.
If I may.
Yeah, please.
My concern would be once the process of removing an RV from private property that's in violation of an ordinance, by the time that would play out, the public safety risk is already present and occurring, and then potentially occurring on other properties. So it would, in my opinion, and from what I've seen in neighboring jurisdictions, it would set ourselves up for this constant cycling battle of people who aren't using it for the legislative intent of the family. Everybody wants to support the family that wants to stay for 2 months and visit their grandkids. Not to be cynical, I don't know if that would be what this is used for long term. And my concern would be once it starts and once they've overstayed the 120 days, you just get into this cycle of enforcing it on one property, then it's the neighboring property, then it's one across town, and before you know it, you've just got this constant battle of people avoiding putting up an ADU and building code because it's easier to drop a trailer.
Okay, we're up. Work session's done.
I just want to respond to that because
You got 5 seconds.
it is true that could happen, but when we talked about this, most likely if somebody's going to abuse the system, they're not going to come in and pay for a permit. If somebody was going to park a rundown trailer and leave it sitting on, they're not going to come in and pay a fee and get the sewer hookup and all those kind of things. They're going to do it anyway. You know what I mean? This is really...
All right. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the May 23rd Tenino City Council meeting. Let the record show that all council members are present with the exception of Council Member Davidson. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That is fun, but we gotta keep moving on. We got work to do. We did not cover the public safety sales tax discussion, which I wanted to spend some time on. Maybe we can add it to the agenda. It's up to you guys. This is your agenda now. Agenda for 5/23/23 meeting. We need an approval.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as presented.
Discussion.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. Is there any discussion?
Yes, the sales tax, I think we should move that down to new business. Sales and use tax.
So we would need to amend the agenda to approve, we need to make an amendment. We'd need to make an amendment to the motion. So the motion was to approve the agenda as presented. So if somebody would like to make an amendment to that motion.
I don't know if this is protocol or not, but I'd like to say something. We wanted one more chance to take another look at it at the finance committee meeting, and of course, that's not gonna be till August.
That's not gonna,
Not gonna be in time, never mind.
Are you?
I made the motion to
Did you make the original motion?
Yes.
Okay, are you making an amendment to your motion?
Yes.
So I have an amendment to the motion to approve the agenda, adding to new business, public safety sales tax. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to make an amendment to the motion to add to the agenda, public safety sales tax discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Now we have the motion to approve the amended agenda. Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. You guys haven't made me think that hard for a while. We have the minutes for the 5/9/2023 meeting.
Move approval?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. We have the consent calendar. This is consisting of May 10th, 2023 through May 23rd, 2023. Payroll EFTs in the amount of $87,754.18. Claims checks number 31411 through 31440. And EFTs in the amount of $147,048.02. Check number 31410 is voided for a grand total of $234,802.20, along with liquor cannabis license for Los Compadres Mexican Restaurant, and the excusal of Councilmember Rachel Davidson from the meeting.
Move approval?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. No executive session. We have we have a presentation from Timberland Regional Library for the annual report. I am going to step out and I'm going to hand the meeting over to Linda. I have another engagement for probably about 10 minutes and I'll be back. The gavel is Linda's.
I'd like to.
Hello again.
Okay, good evening.
Hi there.
Is the green light on up there?
Yes.
Sorry. Okay, perfect.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So, good evening, Councilmember Godovac and council members. Thank you for this opportunity to share with you some of the highlights of 2022 and some of the initiatives that we are working on this year. So as you know, Timberland Regional Library serves 550,000 people across 5 counties. That's Thurston, Mason, Pacific, Grace Harbor, and Lewis counties. Our trustees for Thurston County are Trustee Nicolette Oliver and Trustee Mary Beth Harrington. You have in front of you a copy of the 2022 annual report, which is required by the RCW for us to put together every year and to share out to the county commissioners. And there's a copy for our listeners online at trl.org. And of course, you know that Linda McKinney is your library manager at the Tenino Timberland Library. I want to take this opportunity to thank the 245 staff across the 5-county region, across the 29 libraries for their efforts in 2022 and 2023. So here are the highlights for 2022. We had an increase of 12% increase in new library open hours at all 29 libraries, and for Tenino that means 10 to 5, Tuesday through Saturday. We introduced Grow a Reader, which is an early literacy activity for ages birth to 6 and their caregivers. And this is in a hard copy format for the parent or guardian to track the child's favorite books as the child grows older. We saw a return to in-person summer library program last year where we had a little bit over 9,600 people attend 652 programs across 7,000 square miles. We gave out 11,109 books were distributed, and people got to walk along 15 story trails, which we started during the pandemic with deconstructed picture books along these story trails in partnership with ports and a variety of other partners. Last fall, we returned to in-person story times, and that's baby story times and family story times and preschool story times and all sorts of story times for different ages. We introduced late last year iPads for in-library use only so that people who don't have any digital device can access our online resources. We expanded our library of things. So the library of things includes new stargazing kits, new kitchen tools to check out, new plankton kits with a microscope, thanks to the Pacific Shellfish Institute, and early math backpacks for ages 3 through 8 with a grant from the Capital STEM Alliance. We added additional fishing kits, and we added additional checkout Washington kits with Discover passes, thanks to the Washington State Park Foundation. So, and in terms of the next topic, expanded access hours, we expanded, you may have recalled, I've spoken about this with you in the past. This is where a person can access the library when the staff are not there from 7 a.m. in the morning to 8 p.m., 7 days a week, including holidays. And so expanded access hours expanded to the Hoodsport and Packwood libraries. Nasal, Ocean Park, McCleary, Elma, and Ilwaco will happen in June. So that means if you sign up for the program, you can access all of these libraries with the same key card access. We are looking at Tenino, of course. We are waiting on some cabinetry to be delivered to Tenino for the old vault so that we could put stuff in there, close the vault, and then open it up. The whole thing's ready to go with a flip of the switch. Cameras have been installed, technology has been installed, and we're ready to go with Tenino. Tenino will be the only library in Thurston County that will offer this, this service.
That's
So-
just we're the center of the universe.
That's right. You keep on saying that, John. Right, right. Last September, we issued 5,423 new library cards during Library Card Sign-Up Month. And during that month, we provided 6 new library card designs. Well, as of June 1st till July 15th of this year, we're going to have another library card contest for children or kids 18 years of age and under. There will be 3 winners, and we will produce those into library cards ready for September for the next library card sign-up month. We opened up on Sundays last year at the West Olympia Timberland Library Capitol Mall. We welcomed 53,408 new patrons and 12,001 new Overdrive patrons, and that means Overdrive is a downloadable ebook, e-audiobook, and e-magazines that people can access with an app. And you have access to over 4,300 magazines. Okay, so here's an update about statistics specifically for Tenino. This is comparing 2021 to 2022. There was an increase of 66% of physical checkouts of physical items from the Tenino Timberland Library, 1 year over the other. Please remember, we're coming out of the pandemic, right? And we're still not back to where we were before the pandemic, but still, that is amazing. That is super high.
That is amazing.
I think I'd have to go back and look, but I think it's one of the highest ones. And then in terms of Overdrive checkouts, because we track physical checkouts and downloadable checkouts. And what we're seeing for downloadable checkouts from Overdrive specifically, which is that online ebook, e-audiobook, e-magazine, is an increase of 10% from 2021 to 2022. Overall, though, the whole system has been seeing a decrease of physical checkouts since 2011 and a very steep increase in digital. And that is the same pattern across the country. And then for Tenino, between 2016 and 2022, there are 4,450 active patrons. And you may ask, well, Tenino population is 2,030, and it was 2010 and 2021. And that's because we have, people living outside the city limits accessing the library. Okay, now for some highlights for 2023. I do want to mention, I know this is not close to you, but I do want to mention that we've been working with Energy Northwest since 2020. They approached us and they wanted us to install they were going to install 2 electric vehicle charging stations And they just did that. It took more than 2 years to get this done. It's at the Salcombe Timberland Library. Energy Northwest is installing multiple charging stations across Highway 12. And I just wanted to mention that that library has two. You have to pay for either one. One is a slower one and one is a faster one. I'm mentioning that because I was approached last week by a gentleman who wants to do some additional work with our libraries, and he mentioned Tenino. And I said, well, Tenino's a city building. The library is a city building. You're going to have to work with the city of Tenino on that. We would definitely be interested. And it makes total sense because it's close to the main street, and it used to be a bank, and it has ample parking. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. Okay, I wanted to mention that later this year, we are going to be unveiling a new website for everyone to see, so we're very excited about that. It's state-of-the-art for public libraries. We're super excited. All 29 libraries continue as connection sites in the WorkSource system. Personally, I've been appointed by the county commissioners to serve on the Pac Mountain Board and to lead the One Stop Committee, which is a subcommittee of the full board that oversees WorkSource and all the work that goes on with WorkSource. We are also advocating and supporting the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. This is not our program, but it fits in with the work that we do, which is a focus on birth to 5 and literacy. And so the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, the child receives a free book monthly from the time the child turns up until the time the child turns 5. That could be 60 books in the child's lifetime. So we are partnering with the Child Care Action Council, who's overseeing Mason and Thurston counties for these efforts. We know that there's a little bit over 29,000 birth to 5 children in the 5-county region, and that a little over 1/6% of them have been signed up in this program. The way to get to register for the program is that you can just type in Dolly Parton Imagination Library, Washington, do it that way. You can go to the Child Care Action Council, do it that way. You can go to trl.org and do it that way. So we would like to have your support and just, passing the word along about encouraging people to sign up for free books that the child would receive until the age of 5. I wanted you to know that we are heavily involved in the digital equity and broadband infrastructure plans that are due to the Department of Commerce June 14th. Each county in the state has a BAT, a broadband action team, and they're focusing on both the broadband infrastructure and digital equity piece. So we've put together our digital equity piece for the 5-county region, and we're submitting it into each county's BAT. And then we're going to be working with each BAT to move the digital equity needle forward in the 5-county region. And then lastly, I wanted to mention that we are putting on this Thursday from 9 to noon. It will be recorded. It's a virtual event. It's free. And we wanted to bring hope to the region and to share with people all the great things that are going on in the region, because we're all bombarded, of course, with the daily issues. Moving Forward Together is what it's called, mental health and resilience in the region. Learn about our rural communities' mental and social emotional health and opportunities for STEM education and family wage careers. So the keynote speaker is Commissioner Carolina Mejia. It's presented by Timberland Regional Library and the Capital STEM Alliance. We are bringing in experts in all those topics from around the 5-county region. So we're not bringing people in from the outside at all. And we're having people talk about mental health. There'll be a mental health panel. There'll be 6 breakout sessions around workforce development, STEM careers, family wage careers, et cetera, et cetera. It will be recorded by TCTV in segments so that people can just watch it afterwards for the segment that they're interested in. It will be on our YouTube channel. TCTV is going to distribute it on their channels as well. So we hope to make this either a once or twice an annual event or biannual event, because we want people to realize there's so much good work getting done in the region right
I
now.
wonder if can we put that on the city website? Yeah, but the date and
Yeah,
it's
it's
virtual.
all on at trl.org, the first couple of banners.
Okay.
It's like the second banner, and then when you click on that banner, you'll get a ton of information. Thank you. And then also, actually, I said the last thing, but you just made me realize one more thing, which is, it's been 40 years since we've had bookmobiles out there, right? And we are returning to bookmobiles, and we're returning on June 21st at 10:30 in the morning at Rainier. Rainier is the kickoff for the whole 5-county region at the Senior Community Center, where we're kicking off a bookmobile that is still not too fancy yet, but will be slightly fancy. But it's going to have hotspots and Wi-Fi and a portable printer and, the whole thing. So we're looking at anywhere between 16 and 32 deliveries or meeting ups in the county. And that's also on our website right now, and we're adding to that schedule all the time. So we're working with different partners in our community. So we're very excited about that because we know that we are not reaching so many people. And it's a great opportunity to meet people where they're at because there's so many barriers to getting to our libraries. Okay, I will end with a quote. Libraries will get you through times of no money better than money will get you through times of no libraries. And there you have it. In a nutshell, all the work that we've done in the last year and a half. Any questions?
Just to say thank you, Cheryl. And we really like Linda. She comes in every month and gives her every couple weeks and gives us a report.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you're getting the local flavor, and I'm giving you the big flavor, and yeah.
Linda the librarian.
Linda the librarian.
She's great.
That's
Yeah,
what we call her. Linda
I know
the
we do.
librarian.
Yeah, Linda's great, and she's a children's librarian. They make the best managers. They make the
She's
best
good.
managers.
She's good. Thank you. And you said there was somebody interested in talking to Tenino about.
Yes,
Could you get that? Could we?
I can.
maybe
I have to go back.
him-
I can't remember his name
Do you
right
know
now.
him, Dave? Do you know who it is?
In the public comment, I'll give you.
Okay, good.
I don't know if it's the
Okay.
same person, but I.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay.
'Cause I think we'd be interested in a presentation to see. I think that'd be a good idea.
Mm, yes. Okay.
All right,
Any other
thank you.
questions? No. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Public comment period 1. If anyone in the audience would like to give public comment, you have 3 minutes. Please say your name and address.
Dave Watterson, 1132 Central Avenue East. I just wanted to add on to what she was talking about, the car share thing. I have also been in contact with somebody, as you know, there's a big push in the state to do electric charging stations. There's money for some car sharing programs to help lower income communities. People in low income communities have transportation options. There's a group that's out of someplace up in the islands that's a nonprofit that's helping these communities manage these programs because a car share especially takes a lot of
Right.
insurance and all those kind of things. It's kind of difficult for any small local to do. So I've contacted them. There was a grant period that just closed, and I just didn't have time to apply for it this time.
Well, I think that the Ag Park
Yeah,
is looking.
that's a different
to
one.
put-
This is a different
one.
grant
Okay.
for chargers and car sharing.
Okay.
And anyway, they said they'd be more than willing to help
Well,
us.
if this person,
It may be the
wants
same
to put it
person
in-
because they're
in,
pushing it.
like in the parking lot by the library, huh?
Yeah, their comment
Probably a
was,
good
yeah, we
place.
should have a share books and share cars in the same location. But anyway, so I'm going to keep pursuing that, and
Okay.
I know there's lots of opinions about all this, but my kind of theory is, hey, if they're giving out money to communities, we might as well try to take advantage of it because somebody's going to get it.
And it's reality, where
Yeah.
people are gonna have electric cars and we need this, and we need the charging station.
So yeah, I'll work. I've already talked to Wayne about it, and I will keep following up, and I'll talk to you too.
Okay,
Dave, before you sit down, has there been a study by any electric company throughout the United States that goes into a community and says, okay, you guys can sustain 5 charging stations, 10 charging stations before it starts affecting everybody else on the grid?
I can't come up with anything. I can try to find something on it. I do know there's a lot of new programs coming out where electric cars can actually improve the grid because when they're plugged in at night,
And
a
those are
lot of the new
questions.
cars can feed back into the grid at times when there's a shortage of power. So it's a very complicated issue. I'll find if there's anything specifically
Yeah.
that says, but
because we are
it's-
asked that question, I am asked that question.
So anyway, it's a
Thank
it's a
you.
long session. It's a
Thank
long,
you.
difficult thing to really
I know.
understand totally. So,
Yeah.
but I'll see what I can find.
Okay,
God bless
Dave,
you.
thanks.
You can ask your local library to, you can ask them.
There you go. Thanks, Cheryl. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dave.
Old business, TIB, do you have a report for us lately?
Sure, I'll do that.
Sorry, I just sneezed. Who am I allergic to in here? This is updated cost estimate for the TIB project. As you guys have heard, the TIB is doing a giant chip seal project in the city. They did a ILA with Napa Vine, Bucota, Rainier, Tenino. There's another one in Lewis County. Quite a few cities. So this is basically saying that the total project is $384,569. The city's responsibility would be $19,229 of that. Any questions about that?
You're just asking for us to accept this bid
Yep.
proposal?
Approval.
Move approval.
Thank you. I'm just gonna stay up here because I have other things to talk about. Is that okay? Yep.
It's been moved to approve the TIB cost estimate.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay, and let's see, where am I here?
South Sound Senior Services Agreement.
What is it?
South Sound
Senior
Senior
Services.
Services Agreement.
I lost it.
This is basically just boilerplate stuff. It's,
Yep.
something that we've been
Okay.
doing throughout the whole
Senior
time.
services.
Yeah, we just haven't in a few years since COVID.
Yeah.
They haven't done it. This is just an updated contract agreement with them. Our attorneys reviewed it. They included some details about insurance that he wanted them to have. But they're gonna start back up again with their senior lunches, and
Move approval.
we are eager to get them back in the Quarry House.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to, let me see that again.
Your services.
To approve the senior services agreement with the food bank. Is it with the center?
No, this is the
With the
South
school?
Sound Senior Services. I don't think it's through the,
South Sound Senior Services Agreement. Oh, okay,
Yep.
okay. For some reason, I was thinking it had to do with the school district, but it's for the
no,
senior
this is
citizens.
back at, getting them back in the Quarry House.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Let's see. Now the award, the contract for Hodgson Street project.
Would you like me to read it?
Please.
Okay. Dear Mayor and City Council, on May 10th, 2023 at 10 a.m., 5 bids were opened and publicly read for the above reference project. This is the Hodgson Street North improvements. The low bid was submitted by Iverson and Sons Incorporated of Tumwater, Washington, in the amount of $117,965. The total bids range from $117,965 to $147,741,000. Please see the attached bidders tabulation. The engineer's estimate for the project was $131,105. Gibson Olson reviewed the bids and found that Iverson and Sons Incorporated correctly completed the required forms, including the bid package. Gibson Olson has verified that Iverson and Sons Incorporated has an active contractor's license and has no summons or complaints against them. Gibson Olson recommends that the City of Tenino award the contract in the amount of $117,965 to Iverson and Sons Incorporated of Tumwater, Washington for the Hodgson Street Improvement Project. We also recommend that you consult with your attorney to verify concurrence of the Gibson Olson recommendation for the contract award. Please contact me at your convenience if you have any questions regarding the above information or Gibson Olson's recommendation. Kyle Busby. So attached is, you may need a magnifying glass, but it has all the details of all the estimates of all the things. You know, the crushed pavement and the cement and the paint and all the details are on that
Approval.
attached form.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded to approve the contract award notice recommended by Gibson Olson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approve? Oppose? Motion passes. The BHC client amendment.
Do you want me to read this too?
Please, I have to get clear out of what I'm in. and
This amendment is made and entered into the 17th day of May 2023 by and between the City of Tenino, referenced as the client, and BHC Consultants LLC, referenced as BHC. In consideration of the covenants hereafter set forth, the parties hereto mutually agree that the agreement between the parties made and entered into on the 9th day of June 2022 as amended as follows. The labor rate schedule, attachment B from the original contract, shall be revised as below. Sorry, I was going to pull this up so you guys could see it, but I guess you can see it. So basically, he's lowering his rate. This is a Tenino special. I think that we were kind of going off of the Thurston County fee schedule. We've determined that Shane can do an hourly rate of a little less for the residents of Tenino.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the amended contract with BHC Consultants. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Code enforcement spring cleanup letter.
Well, it's your letter. I don't know if you have to be up, but.
What's this one? Oh, this one. Yes, this is the envelope stuffer, sorry.
Yep.
It's kind of similar to what we did with the right-of-way letter that we put out for people parking campers on right-of-ways, which we know 72 hours. This one here, we want to send out in the next water bill cycle for just as a general educational purpose, really, nothing more, nothing more than that. So this is a reminder to the community of your responsibilities to maintain your property to the standards of the city ordinance. With the upcoming summer weather, uncut grass, clean the fire hazards and rodent infestations. Please be mindful. The objective here is to educate and gain voluntary compliance. For your ease, below are the ordinances we are referring to. As you see, we listed the nuisance, basically specifying yard maintenance, also vacant lot buildings maintenance as well. We do have a few vacant lots here inside of town, and I do keep contact with those people to let them know, hey, even though you're not living here or you have a vacant lot, you still have to maintain it to the city standards. And that's just something we wanted to add into the water bill cycle this next going around.
The only thing I'd like to have changed in it, and I'll read this paragraph to you. It's 8.08.030 yard maintenance. Every occupant of a dwelling unit located in close proximity to another occupied dwelling unit shall keep the yard space thereof reasonably clean and neat and free of uncut grass, blackberry vines, bushes, and debris. And then there's a little, if rodent infestation exists.
Correct.
I'd like to have the if rodent infestation
Exists?
taken off of that, please.
That would have to go through the ordinance change though, because that's an
Okay.
ordinance, that's the
Okay.
way it's written in the
Yeah,
ordinance, correct?
We definitely want to do that before we send this letter out.
Why don't we want us to say about rodents?
Well, why do we want to wait until it's infested to
Oh.
make sure it's cleaned up? You know,
Right.
that's what this is saying. If a rodent infestation exists, that's what it's saying.
Correct. I agree.
Yeah, so I'd like to
So
see
we
that.
want it to say to prevent rodent
Or,
infestation.
or some, anything but if it is in fact there, why wait until it's there to make them clean up their yard?
Right. No, I never liked that terminology myself, so if we
Okay.
can change it, I'd be happy.
Okay,
Okay.
I don't know if while I'm
Well-
up here, if you want me to do my report since I'm standing here,
Sure.
or?
Well, just a second. To your point, we can adjust the language of the letter and then adjust the ordinance
Okay.
later.
okay,
So I would go along with your
okay,
suggestion,
all right.
okay?
Can we do that then?
You know, and I know if you kind of go to the nuisance specifically to 8.8020, where it does explain, in-depth JK and O, section JK and O, kind of, it says basically the same thing as the 8.08030. It just leaves out the rodent infestation part of it.
Yeah,
So,
that's the only part I want. I just want that
right.
little.
So if anything, we can just take the 8.08030 out completely and just leave the others remaining in the letter.
Well, no, we just need those, just those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words taken out. That's all. That's all we need done. The rest of it's fine.
Very good.
One other thing before you move on, it's a semi-related issue. We used to roll out the dumpsters in the beginning of spring, and I understand because of COVID, but it's been quite some time since we've rolled out the dumpsters so that everybody could just come down behind the restaurant. That's where we used to put it,
Well-
and just dump their stuff in there.
That was the chamber used to do
The
that.
chamber did that?
Yes,
Okay.
we did that, and we quit it because they always donated the big dumpster for us for our spring cleanup, and then they quit doing that.
I've heard some different things about it, yes.
So that's, we could look into it again, or the city can look into it, you know, but I don't, and I'll bring it up at the chamber meeting, but,
Thank you.
yeah.
Because Bucota just did one.
Did they?
I'm pretty sure they just did one this last Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used, it was a Saturday, and we had a group of people, and we would man the big, huge dumpster, and people would bring their yard waste, and it, yeah. So, sure, I'll talk to the chamber about it, yep.
If
We're the
it's
ones
something that
did
we
it.
can do, great. If not, that's fine too, but at least we know one way or another.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
okay.
Thank you.
yeah.
Okay, I'm done.
Very good, sir.
For now.
Does this mean that if somebody has such a mess, that we can turn it in?
I'm sorry, what was that?
If somebody has such a mess, you know, blackberry vines and all that, can we turn that in
Yes.
to the city?
Yes.
Can we turn what into the city, I'm sorry?
Oh, you know, if somebody has a real mess in their yard, you know, like blackberry vines are growing into the alley and over the fence and that type of thing.
Yes, you can do citizen
So you
action
talk
request
to-
on that.
To Randy about it, you mean?
I just got a message from Jody Stoltz that the Habitat for Humanity funded the Bucota dump day this last weekend, so maybe that's something we can look into.
Okay.
Them assisting us with next spring.
It is something I've been discussing down at City Hall as well. I've been kind of bringing that up a couple times in the last week or so.
Okay.
To just see where we were at and how things were before and so I'm working on possibly getting something like that in as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. If you guys don't mind, I'll move on to my report for this month.
Go ahead, maybe the.
Unless
here-
you got other-
I'm gonna give you the resolution. Okay,
Building updates, as you guys noticed, we had the soft opening here for the new 1776 bar over the weekend. This report was drafted at the beginning of the month and was supposed to be read, but it had gotten missed. So we did issue a certificate of occupancy for them. So kudos for them. I'm really happy to see what they've done and accomplished on that. The townhome project located at the corner of Central and State Street. I'm sure if you guys have been driving by, you see they have 2 foundations already in place. Those have been inspected and they're ready to move forward on the building of the structure at this point. There is a 3rd foundation that is still to go in as well. So there'll be a total of 9 units inside of that.
now where is this? Excuse me.
This is at the corner of Stage and Central
Right
Street.
here,
Right
right.
across, yeah.
Yeah.
To date, the building department has issued out 25 permits, add a couple more, about 27 permits now, ranging from new construction to re-roofs, mechanicals, and solar permits as well. I've seen an increase I've had, this month alone, 3 solar panel installs for people. So there is a much more need coming into the city for solar. I see a lot of people doing those. Code enforcement, year to date, I have 13 code enforcement cases open within the city of Tenino. 9 of those cases have been closed, leaving me with 4 open cases still pending. They're pending closure right now. just coming to the final stages on those. And I have 8 code enforcement cases open within the city of Rainier as well. Out of those cases, all except for one have been closed. And we did just finish up a long 6-month junk vehicle abatement on 2 properties within inside of the city. So we finally got resolution on that and we're able to get both properties completely cleared out and into the city standards. So, if there's any questions for me?
How much buildable land do we still have in city limits?
Within the city limits? Last I recall, actually, I think maybe Jason, you might even know. I don't know, sir. We did a city walk with Dan Penrose about 1.5 years ago, and I think I recall hearing 16 lots.
Yeah, I can't remember.
It was a small number. It was in the low teens, in that range.
So this 9 lots just took a big bite out of it.
No, this is one single lot with 9 units on it, because they're townhome units.
Okay,
Right, 2-story townhome units.
okay.
But being where the zoning on it is, it allows for multifamily use.
And how has this been affecting the sewer system?
I'm sorry, sir?
Over the last couple of years, all the new construction that we have, how's the sewer system holding up to it?
I'm sorry, I'm really hard hearing here. The sewer system? I can't answer that question. That would be something for facility maintenance to answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one last question on the sewer system. When they first came in, I believe it was $7,500 to have it installed. The mechanics of it to be installed. Is that still the same price?
I believe yes, $7,500 for a sewer hookup, and I believe it's $3,000.
For
Jen may be able to
electrical?
correct me on this. I believe it's $3,000 for a water connection and $7,500 for sewer connection.
2,500 for,
Water?
and then 7,000.
Okay, so the prices have dropped then. Yes, the prices have
So
gone
it's
up.
$9,500.
Total for both water and sewer, right. But compared to a lot of other jurisdictions, that's extremely low.
Yeah, I know it is.
Yeah, I want to think it's like $40,000 just in Olympia alone to get
Yeah.
that, yeah. So.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
You know, if nobody objects, I'd like to go on with the reports. Maybe
Yeah.
Wayne will be back and he can read this, because this has to do with the SERB,
Tax?
yeah, the resolution. So why don't we, I'll just hurry, I'll read George's report. Let's see, that last week at the Chamber Lunch Forum of the Young at Heart Theater and Creekside gave a presentation. Next Oregon Days, OTD Days committee meeting is the 5th at 5:30 at the Quarry House. The next forum is on the 21st of June. Speaker to be announced. Oh, and the Tenino Area Chamber of Commerce has launched a new website, and it's pretty nice. You need to go in and look at it. It's teninoaac.org. teninoacc.org. And STEDI met last Friday and had the guest speaker was from St. Martin's University Engineering Department. And they shared how communities can work with them on projects that need engineering. Next STEDI meeting is the 16th of June. It's going to be at the Quarry House, and the mayor is going to be the guest speaker. The ADC board meeting is tomorrow, and I'll let Jessica talk about the Arch Commission. So you want to do your report now, Jessica?
Sure.
Might as well.
Which one? Both of them? Can I just do both?
You can do everything.
Okay. Yay. Okay, well, I'll start with the museum. So probably the biggest thing that's happening at the museum is just we dropped a book. Tenino,
I know I've got some.
150 years. What's that? I do have some in my car. Okay. I can probably accommodate that, although we are currently sold out. Okay. They're $20. And all the funds go to the museum. So Rich and I are not making a dime on this. In fact, he's donated a lot of the books to the museum with his own money. So the museum's just getting all the benefit. Thank you. So we are going to work on a reprint. There will be 100 more books coming out. And just while
Well,
I
I
was
don't-
sitting here tonight, I sold, well, counting you, 4 books, just because they're going online too.
Well, I can wait on actually 2 of mine,
Okay.
because they're gonna be Christmas presents.
Well, they'll be, I think it's just like a few more weeks and we'll have more books. So anyway, it's been exciting. It's created a buzz around the museum. We had a line coming in the museum on Friday, and it was really busy on Saturday. So that is great, but it's also a little issue because I'm having trouble getting docents on the weekends. So I don't foresee us really being open on Sundays this summer. Because would rather, if I do get a docent, please work Saturday. Because I think it's really important that we be open. People are driving in, they're using the museum for research. Casey was docenting on Saturday, and she said she had a couple people coming in just to use our research library. So I don't think we can just not open.
Well, I think Friday and Saturday is more important anyway. I think a lot of
Yeah.
people are going home and not.
Sunday
I
can be
don't think
busy
it's-
too, back when we were open, but yeah, if I have my druthers, I think Saturday's the more important day. So anyway, that's something we've got to work on, getting more people to volunteer there. So moving on to more park stuff, the facilities are kind of taking off right now. So the Quarry House has been busy, mended hours, that reflects our busyness there. And also the shelters are starting. We've got the shelter number 2 nearest the playground equipment is rented 3 times this week.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
Yeah, so because people want to have their birthday parties
Right.
there now, there's play equipment to play on, and they're just excited about it. And they're like, well, we have to get there really, really early. I was like, actually, you could just reserve it. So I'm thinking that's going to be
Good.
a trend.
Good.
I'm also getting a lot of calls on the campground, so we'll see what we can do about that. You can go online currently, and it's City of Tenino activityreg.com, and look at when the Quarry House is reserved and the shelters are reserved. So if you want to rent the Quarry House, you can actually go on there and say, oh, the date that I want is open or not. So it can help with planning. We're going to be launching that website more as it's more complete. But right now I'm using it to register people for the parade, the silly procession at the 150th Jubilee, which is my other huge project right now, putting together this celebration. I hope you will all be there. We're going to have a lot of pomp and circumstance. You know, at the beginning, we're going to have a gun salute. We're going to have the VFW doing a flag ceremony. We're going to have JBLM Brass Quartet coming in and playing the national anthem and other patriotic songs. We're going to have the procession. There will be a birthday cake for the city at noon, courtesy of the Presbyterian Church. There's going to be lots of booths and activities, kind of a carnival row. Activities going on throughout the city, entertainment. There's a music festival that starts at 3 o'clock and goes into the evening. Yeah, and the silly procession, I think, is going to be fun.
I want to know when you sleep.
But it's all fun stuff, so, you know, bring in the fun. And we are also hopefully going to, got to look into this a little more, but making sure that the time capsule that's in the corner of this building really exists. And if it does, we will attempt to open it the day before the Jubilee, and whatever contents are in there, we'd like to have on display at the museum on the day of the Jubilee. Rich will be at the Jubilee to sign books. We'll hopefully have more to sell. So just a lot of things. I'm sure I'm forgetting stuff that's happening. We also just dropped the Tenino Park Passport Program. So that is just where kids can go in and get a free passport, and there's a couple activities to do each month in the park. And then they can come into City Hall or into the museum and get a sticker. So right now we have the May scavenger hunt, and the other activity for the month of May is to visit the museum. So each month there'll be some form of scavenger hunt with a theme, and then an activity to do in the park. And I consider the museum to be part of the park. So let's see, there's a tour coming up on May 31st. Is it 7th graders or 6th graders? Seventh graders, yeah, I thought so. So the seventh graders are going to be descending upon us, and they're going to start with cemetery tours, and then they're going to come around the city, and they, in groups, kind of do this rotation. They'll be coming to City Hall, and Jen will host them here. They're going to be at the museum, the quarry pool, the Hercules quarry, the shed. I think that's all of the things. So
My daughter's excited for it.
yeah, we did it last year. It was really successful, and it's just a great day to engage kids and get them excited about the city that they come from.
I think it's really cool to sit in the mayor's chair.
Yeah. Yeah. So the city website, they're just taking a really long time. We're in queue for Civic Plus to get our website. So they gave me an updated date of June 10th that we should be seeing something. We've seen a mock-up, but to actually have a website would be nice. So I think that's pretty much everything, unless you have any questions for me.
Thanks, Jessica.
Okay.
Thank you. Where are we here? Seeing Fire District 12.
I don't think there's a lot to pass on from our last meeting. I think the only thing that I said I would mention here is the fire district's still looking for property to build a new station, and they've been offered a piece of property out where the horse ranch is, but they are trying to find some clarification on if there's going to be limits or how hard it is to build out there where there's an existing structure now, and they seem to be struggling, from what I've got from the chief, getting the answer of this is even an option at all, you know what I mean? Because of some of the restrictions out there with, building.
Is it still within the city limits?
Yeah, it's in the city limits, and there's a building on it, but it's, there's the gopher habitat, and so.
Is it an issue with getting a hold of the city planner?
I think he said he's sent information to him, but hasn't heard back, and this is kind of a time, I don't think they want details. I think they just want to say, is this even possible at all, Is it? Got to look someplace else.
Okay.
And it's a little, so I'd appreciate anybody, if he can just tell them that. If he can just say, hey, it's going to be hard, but it's not impossible, or it's just impossible, so they can kind of move on and understand where they're.
Yeah.
So I think they would appreciate that if we can just kind of get at least a basic understanding of that.
Okay.
Other than that, I don't think there was really, they approved the chief's new contract for 3 years, and I think that was about it at the last meeting.
I'll do a nudge.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Just really quick, I'm hoping to have a banner to bring to the next meeting to show you guys. So there's one that's been fabricated, a couple I think, but we didn't get them yet today. So in addition to the banners that were released, the metal banners that were released online that we shared, there are 4 banners that you guys haven't seen, and that's because we felt like some kind of iconic Tenino things weren't covered in the submissions that we had, and so Donna Mayo did 2, and one of them is a Salish basket, and the other is the Tenino Depot Museum and the caboose. And then I borrowed Tammy's art and made Bucky the Beaver with her permission. Yeah, a Bucky the Beaver. So we have a good beaver that's based off the mascot that we've got at the high school. And then because of that, we reintroduced an Adam Barr design, which is the Tenino Knight. So those are 4 that you haven't seen. And we are hoping that, well, these will all have to be installed by the end of June. So they will be going up soon.
And the artist is opening a new place right out at the old market.
Oh, yes,
On
do.
100
Oh.
on 507. Yes.
Yeah, it's a busy guy.
Yes.
I heard about that.
In fact, it's open on. It is opening on Saturday.
Oh,
May 27th, and. We also know that you need to read that. We didn't read it. So, okay, thank you. We went on with reports.
we at?
The resolution.
This is Resolution 12. Resolution 2023-02, resolution of the City of Tenino, Washington, authorizing submission of an application for Community Economic Revitalization Board loan in the approximate value of $1.5 million and authorizing the City of Tenino to enter into an agreement for such funding. So, as you recall, we went out and got a bond last year that we did not use and we put back. This is a loan that we have found that has better terms than the bond had, and there is the possibility that using this loan through the Community Economic Revitalization Board, that 25% of the loan could be forgiven. So it is it is much better terms for us to get the funding through this process than the bond that we had explored and passed about 10, 11 months ago. So we are asking the council recommend to motion to approve the city to apply for the curb funding. This would be just one additional step. There would also be accepting if we are awarded this, and at that point we would be able to scrutinize the terms further.
Move approval.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the city to apply for curb funding. This is a resolution of the City of Tenino. Whereas the Community Economic Revitalization Board funds are available to support economic development projects which are ready to implement and for which jobs are to be created or retained. Whereas the City of Tenino desires to fund a project consistent with the purpose of a curb. Whereas the curb project represents a commitment of private resources toward enhancing the vitality of the area and expansion of economic and employment opportunities. Whereas in the event the application of the curb funding is approved and accepted by the City of Tenino, the City of Tenino will comply with all applicable federal laws and state laws. Whereas the City of Tenino curb project will not result in the transfer or relocation of jobs from one part of the state to another. Whereas the Tenino City Council of the City of Tenino finds and determines that an application should be submitted. Now therefore it is hereby resolved by the City of Tenino that Mayor Wayne Fournier or his designee is hereby authorized to submit an application to curb for and on behalf of the City of Tenino for curb funding in the approximate amount of $1.5 million. That Mayor Fournier is hereby further authorized to provide such additional information as may be necessary to secure approval of application, and that in the event such application is approved, Mayor Wayne Fournier is authorized to enter into an agreement for such funding, and that this resolution shall be effective upon passage and signatures hereon in accordance with the law. And to be clear, this is for the Ag Park. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, before you do the next resolution, we need a motion on removing the rodent infestation from that.
Is this,
We already read it.
is this something that was added to the agenda?
No, this is something that's on the agenda.
Okay.
This is Rainey's code enforcement letter that's going into the next round of water bills about spring cleanup.
Okay. So,
I don't think there was any motion on passing
No.
it.
If there was, at
No,
that point, it was just an agreement.
Right.
So if you want to make the motion, I'll go ahead and second
well,
it.
hold on. I mean, this is, if it's not on the agenda, we're not
It
gonna,
is on the agenda.
it was something that, it was, what's that? Code enforcement spring cleanup letter. Motion to approve letter to be, okay, thank you. I'm lost in the sauce. Placed in the next month's water bill. I'm assuming that he took these 8.08.030 yard maintenance verbatim out of the city code.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so where it says bushes and debris, if a rodent infestation exists, that's just verbatim out of the city code.
Right.
Should we, I mean, if you remove the word if, I mean, is it semantics or is it substantial?
I mean, I think that I think somebody could take it and say, well,
They can say that there's no rodents on their property.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
no
If they have
rodents.
a mess.
If they
and-
got a huge mess there, they could say
Yeah,
there's no
okay,
rodents.
so I think this is an administrative thing. And I just tell Rainey that we want it to be
Okay,
stated
well,
in
you
such a
know.
way, but I would, if this is not something that the
We can-
council likes, I would say, how about you ask staff to bring forward Tenino Municipal Code 8.08.030 and
And that
future
was-
work
John,
session.
John did suggest it.
Yeah, that was,
Go
that
ahead.
was the second
Change
part.
it and then.
Okay,
next-
so I'll change it administratively, and I would like to ask
Right.
that our clerk treasurer place on the next work session, ordinance 8.08.030 yard maintenance, and we'll discuss that
Okay,
ordinance. Okay. Does that work?
that works.
So what you're saying is don't put that letter in the June water bill?
No, he just needs to take that phrase
Just
out.
take that out.
That's semantics.
Then we will fix.
If they want to haggle
later.
that there's no rodents in their bushes,
10-4.
Yeah.
Got it.
all right. Now are we on reports?
No,
We got the resolution,
Resolution amending the 2023 fee schedule.
and if you want, I can talk a little bit about this.
Please.
I would love to do that.
So the Corey House is just opened back up for rentals. We had a booked weekend. We had an event Saturday and another event Sunday morning, and we quickly realized our hours aren't really flowing adequately for people. You know, people were there very late Saturday, and then Sunday morning there was a memorial planned, and it was a disaster still because we didn't give enough time. I guess we didn't really have the wording in there of, hey, you got to be cleaned up and out of there by 10 a.m. So our guys are kind of working overtime on that. We don't want to send our guys in at 7 a.m. to clean. So if we make it 10 to 10 is the full day rental, or 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and then is a partial day, and then 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. is the other half of the day. So we're trying to adjust it so it works for everyone, so it's clean and we have happy renters when they rent it. We also added on here the city fee for building permits has always been $40. It's just like the flat city fee that we charge. For some reason in the fee schedule, we had it in there as $120. I think we copied what the county said for that part, but it's just the city fee. We've been charging $40, and we would like to continue to just charge that flat fee. We have all the other fees go on with the inspections and all those things. So any questions on that?
Move approval.
second.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2023-03. Thank you, Jen. Is there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. That brings us to reports.
I don't know. New
We've
business.
already done all
Oh,
of them. I
when did you
think.
do that? Oh, you guys went straight to reports and skipped all the juicy stuff.
Well,
I see what's going
We
on
still
here.
have that public safety tax thing that was,
Okay,
that has not been done.
and that's under new business.
what's that?
The
The sales-
public
sales tax.
safety sales tax discussion.
Okay,
Oh, are we going to, oh, okay. that's
so we're on new business. Did we do 9? Contract award notice for Hodgson Street project.
Yeah, we've done all of it.
We did 10, we did 11.
The
What
only
we
thing
didn't do
haven't
was talk
done
about public
is
safety
the-
sales
the
tax.
public
Okay, but
safety.
still, okay, sorry, we did go back to the letter, but we never did make a motion that you guys would want it in the water.
We don't need it.
Oh, we don't need it?
We don't need to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Public safety sales tax. This, I wanted this on the agenda, and I wanted to say that the council council direct or make a motion where council directs staff to draft a resolution stating that we would want an ordinance developed placing a public safety sales tax initiative on the August ballot.
The August ballot?
Yeah, it has to be, from my reading is, it has to be either on, it can't be in a special election, it has to be on the primary, or it has to be on the general election. And for a city, you can go up to 0.10, you can do 1/10 of 1% for a city, you can do 0.3% if you're the county. And the intention would be to use it to provide additional funds to the police department so that we could talk about improving our wages within the PD.
Okay,
So we can't do.
We can't, it's not on the agenda.
We can't use the 0.3.
We can't use the 0.3 because only the county could pass 0.3, and then they would have to share
Yeah,
with
they
the
won't do
city.
that.
They have to share like per capita. I mean, it says it right in the WAC, but we cannot do the 0.3. We can only do the 1/10.
so, do we still have time to get it on the August ballot, or is it gonna have to go on the November?
I mean, I think we have time to put it on the August ballot.
Okay.
Which is,
Well,
we've got June, July.
I think we need to find that out, whether or not, what the time limit on filing with the county is.
Well, we can go ahead and approve it. If we find out that we don't have the time, we can adjust the time.
To August,
Yes.
to November.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, as long as it's on one of those. Yeah, okay.
Move approval.
Sales and use tax.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to direct staff to draft a resolution that would state we wanted an ordinance created to place it on the August ballot. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. All right, now where are we at on the agenda? We've done new business, we've done resolutions.
We're in reports now.
Everything.
Now we're back in reports?
Yes.
Okay, and we were at
South Thurston Fire.
South Thurston Fire.
Well, I already gave it.
Did that
You
one.
did it.
Did
Yeah, we
that
did
one?
that one.
Library was here, gave their annual
Yes.
report. Museum, Tenino Community Service Center, Civil Service Commission, Facade and Group Improvement Grant Review Committee.
No, I don't have a thing.
Okay, Finance Committee, they met last month. Planning Commission.
Our last meeting was canceled, so we'll be having another one coming up here. But John asked about buildable lands in the city, how much we had, and that's actually one of the things we're working on now on this housing plan is what buildable lands do we have? And I don't think we have enough in the city right now to meet expected growth, and that's part of what we're looking at. What can we do to make, more housing available within the land we have now is one of our things we're working on. So I don't know the exact number of lots or acres that we have available, but it's not enough to meet expected growth over the next 20 years or whatever the state's requiring us to plan for. So you will be seeing something from the Planning Commission on that whole thing with buildable lands and what we're going to do,
As you're
changes
looking
we
at
can
that, since you're thinking that we don't have enough buildable lands to meet expected growth, could you look in to see what the state would actually do to us if we can't meet that? What the consequences would be?
Okay, I can ask that.
Thank you.
And part of, that's it, with today's, regulations, so that's one of the things, should we change any of our regulations to allow more housing to occur? So the buildable lands, what I'm saying now is we don't have enough under the current regulations for building, and we may want to look at changing some of those, so.
I've got something for you. You weren't here at the last meeting, and I brought this.
I have that handout.
Did you, do you?
Yeah.
Okay,
And I have it
that's right.
for them for the next meeting.
Okay, I gave it to, yeah.
I don't remember what the timeline is to have this done. We're
Well,
doing this
there
under a
was a
grant,
bill
so we have
passed.
some timeline to where it needs to be done.
The housing action plan should be done like anytime now.
Pretty
But,
soon.
and then that leads into the comp plan, which is where we would
Right,
talk
come-
about
Well,
our
that's
our
part-
urban
We
growth.
have a certain amount of time after the comp plan in order to enact this. The bill number is 1110,
Is it a new-
and I gave the report to.
1110, it's the Bateman bill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
And it's, my understand, like, we're too small of a city for it to
right.
apply to us.
I believe that's true, but I thought the planning commissioner, they're more experienced and educated in.
I'll bring it up at the next meeting just
Yeah,
to see if Dan
yeah,
is aware of anything that we need to, with the
Yeah,
current.
I believe it's cities within, certain cities within a county that's got, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of people. But they need to look into it, you
Yeah.
know, I mean, and it's just the bill report. They can get the whole bill if you just.
I'll
go
bring it
online.
up at our next meeting
Okay.
just to see where they're at. Any other questions? That's kind of the only thing I can think of right now that's going
Yeah, I
on with the
can't
planning.
think off
Thank you,
the
Dave.
top of my head what
Thank you.
exactly.
Chief of Police.
Nothing.
Okay. Director of Public Works, did he provide you anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Director of Public Works, wanted to let you guys know the flags will be going up this week. They believe Friday, but possibly sooner. Just
That's
in
good.
time for Memorial Day, yes. The asphalt for the pump track is starting Thursday, and pump track assembly will begin next week. It looks fantastic over there.
God.
Yes,
So
so exciting. We are still accepting lifeguard applications. The Chronicle called today and I talked to them about, they're doing a little story about how we're looking for lifeguards. So hopefully
Nice.
that will help attract some. The pool is progressing. They've been out there every day, moving along on that. The bathrooms were vandalized again at the park. So we have the men's room closed because the sink got broken. So we've made the women's side unisex, and then we also put a sign letting people know the bathrooms are open at the baseball field, so anybody
How
that's walking
hot
the trail.
Is the door into the bathroom?
Oh, my God.
No comment. That is it for that.
Well, the next hot day then, Jason, I think you just need to run down there and touch it.
It's always something, you know? It's always something. I know that sweet Jessica cleaned up some human remnants on the side of the trail the other day and was like,
Are you?
do they not realize the bathrooms are open? So we were talking about possibly putting some type of sign letting people know there is a bathroom over there also. I don't know if people don't know that the big blue building is
As long as
actually
there's
a
a
big, nice.
warning.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't have to go out and clean it up for
Yeah.
crying out loud.
Yeah,
No. Okay, that's all I have for Troy Boy.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a report?
I do. Just a little one.
Okay.
I've been working on the curb application with Aslan with the EDC. We've been putting in a lot of time on that. We were excited to go past phase 1. Now phase 2 is due on the 30th. And because it's a holiday weekend, we're trying to get that hammered out in the next 2 days. Working on the annual report. I wanted to let you know, I did do a follow-up on the Purple Heart, wondering where the heck our signs are because it's been since November. She passed me on to another gentleman, waiting to hear back from that. So again, they're not very easy to get a hold of. So I will continue to poke at them until we get what we're looking for. And I know you've said you would purchase additional if we needed it to do so. I'm working on that. So also, there's an electric vehicle survey. A little slip went out in the water bills this month. The link to it is on our website. It's extended through June 30th. It will be up there. They're asking everyone to go on and give your feedback on what you're looking for and if we were to get an electric vehicle charging station at the Ag Park. Quarry House Phase 2 has been approved. They started working on that, so they're working on the back room as well as the stage area is getting all kinds of great things that are very needed, including a safe rail and some stairs and some lighting, and it's going to be very usable and done by Oregon Trail Days. So
Cool. Wow.
at the rate we're going, everything's going to be magic by the time Jubilee hits. So it's exciting.
Thank you. You have pretty much covered everything. Yeah, your report is essentially the same as mine. Be that.
They had their Screenagers movie tonight right now. Other than that, there's nothing else to report.
Solid waste.
No meeting this month.
Okay. Rachel is not here for the school board. Jessica has left. TRPC.
TRPC and TPB, there's really, nothing's going on that's affecting us down here. The biggest thing that they talked about was the Martin Way corridor. how it was originated, what the ideas were, and how they want to try to make it so that it's more bicycle and pedestrian friendly. And this is not the first time we've gone through this discussion.
All right, thank you. No, legislature is no longer in session. No report. Public comment period number 2. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to provide public comment, now's your opportunity to do so. You'll be given 3 minutes.
I just had one thought I wanted to share with the park. You know, it seems like we've had a lot of problems with bathrooms and just my walking, sometimes there's garbage, you know, and I'm not blaming anybody saying they're not doing their job, but I want, a lot of places have a park host that kind of takes care and makes sure the bathrooms get open and closed at a timely manner and can pick up if there's little things that need to be picked up around. I've just wondered if maybe it's worth some thought just to see would a park host work out there in our areas over, you know, one of the spaces over there in the park. But
Yeah.
I don't know the answers. I was just thinking how maybe we can manage that a little bit better without having to use our staff time to do some of those things that.
Sorry.
Public comment. Thank you. Thank you for your public comment. If there's anyone else in the audience that would like to provide public comment, now is your opportunity to do so. You get 3 minutes.
Chief of Police, I probably should have jumped up, but I didn't realize the balcony top was going to come up in the parks. I've been in contact with Public Works, and we're trying to work out a schedule to where we're going to assist with locking up so that, you know, we're in the city the latest. We just don't have the details worked out because we're dealing with some staffing issues ourselves right now. But I think that kind of can play what you're saying and maybe mitigate some of the risk of late night vandalism.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If there's anyone else in the audience that would like to provide public comment, going once, going twice, sold. Announcements.
I wanted to, oh, go ahead.
If you have an announcement, now's your time to
I
do
do.
so. Go ahead.
Memorial Day services at Forest Grove Cemetery, 11 a.m. on Monday. Memorial Day, the 29th, I believe it is.
Monday, the 29th at 11 a.m. at Forest Grove Cemetery.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you. Linda, you have an
Well,
announcement?
Cheryl, in her report for the library, was talking about being approached to, I guess in Salkin, where is it, Salkin, that they've...
Salcom.
Salcom, they've, somebody worked with the library to put into a couple charging stations, electric charging stations. And that same person approached her about using the parking lot next to the, and so you got the name, didn't you, from?
Yeah, it's kind of similar to what I had talked.
Yeah.
briefly talked about.
And so,
If it's Joel.
I just
I'm
thought it
already-
would be
yeah,
good, it'd be good if we had a presentation from this person,
Okay.
so.
Yep, we'll flush it out.
Okay.
If there's any other announcements,
September 9th over at the City Park, we now have live band. Everything that we normally have for First Responders Appreciation Day will be there. And remember, it's a free event, so it doesn't cost anybody anything, and it is family friendly. It'll be from noon till 3.
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other announcements? Meeting adjourned.